Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. I hope you're all alright. For those of you that are new here, hello, thanks for joining. My name is Amber and it's really nice to have you here. If you haven't already, do make sure that you please pause this video, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification button so that you're informed every time I post a video. I hope you've all had a good week. It's been quite an exciting week for us in that we had the building regs submitted and approved for our garage conversion. We also had the kitchen designer come from Howdens and have that all designed for us. So that's really, really exciting. Hopefully everything should start within the next few weeks. We're hoping the end of February will be when we are finally knocking down the walls. This week I decided, really, before I kind of get into the IVF prep videos, everything this year I think is going to be a lot more full on in terms of the IVF prep than it has been for our previous 2 cycles, just on the basis that this is going to be our last egg collection. That I feel, for myself, I need to be able to say that I did everything I possibly could to make this work. So for that reason, I am doing everything a lot stricter, a lot more, like, really quite OTT with it this year. I think I'm really going to start taking it super seriously and doing all the things that I perhaps didn't do over the last 2 cycles, just for that reason, so that I can say I have done everything. So today I thought I would kind of just sit down and talk to you about why we have made the decision for this to be our 3rd and final egg collection. Over the next few weeks I will be doing IVF prep videos, etc. The renovation videos will start. There will be other normal vlogs, and I just thought before we kind of go into all of that, we would end January and start the rest of the year just with a bit of an explanation as to why. So get yourself all nice and comfy, go get yourself a nice cup of tea, and I'll explain everything. I don't even know where to start. My husband Marco and I have been trying to conceive now for over 6 years, and in September 2018 I was diagnosed with 2 fully blocked fallopian tubes. We were told that we would never be able to conceive without IVF. Because of where we live, we are not entitled to any NHS funded IVF. As a result, we have already had 2 fresh transfers. We've had 2 full cycles of IVF. Our first cycle of IVF ended because we got to day 5 after their egg collection and none of our embryos made it to day 5. None of them survived, and therefore we couldn't have any transferred. We didn't have anything for the freezer as a result of that, so we had another fresh cycle in March 2020. That round also unfortunately failed. In that cycle we had 1 blastocyst to transfer, but it was an early blastocyst, so it wasn't at the stage it should have been by day 5. But other than that, nothing left over for the freezer. Because of that, we are almost back in square one, in the sense that we don't have anything in the freezer, and so we have to do a whole new cycle. Now this time we are going to a different clinic. This clinic is costing us a lot more money than the first clinic. This clinic is going to cost us £12,500 for a fresh cycle. But because of my PCOS, we are potentially looking at doing a freeze-all cycle, which is added money. So altogether, we are looking at approximately £12,500 for our next cycle of IVF. We are really hoping this time that we have an embryo to transfer, but on top of that, that we have embryos in the freezer so that we can have frozen transfers after that. We have decided that this is going to be our last fresh cycle, and so this is going to be my last egg collection. And that means that if we don't get any frozen embryos, that our IVF journey is over. When we first started, we set a limit in our heads, and we had that conversation together, and Marco from day 1 kind of said, I think 3 should be our limit. Whereas I was very much like, okay, yeah, that's cool, thinking there's no way we're going to get to 3. It's going to work first time, because I was incredibly naive and didn't actually anticipate us getting to this point and not being any further to being any closer to being parents. I anticipated that at the end of cycle 2 we would at least have an embryo in the freezer. So it's very disappointing knowing that we're not. We had a conversation a few weeks ago when we decided to go ahead with the new clinic, when we decided to go ahead with the IVF, when we decided that we weren't going to use a low-cost clinic and we knew how much it was going to cost. We kind of knew that this had to be our last cycle. If this fails and we don't have anything in the freezer, we would have to save another £12,500 to try again. And by the end of cycle 3, we will have already spent around £20,000 to £21,000 on IVF. It's extortionate. So we have made the decision for financial reasons that this cycle will be our last go. I think we're at a point where we know that we can't keep doing this, and we know that in a few years, you know, we could have a bit of a break again. We could save up all that money again over a prolonged period of time and try again in, you know, 3 years time when I'm nearly 30. Like, that's fine. We could potentially do that. But for me, I feel like once I've drawn a line under that, and once I have then progressed and grieved and felt how I need to feel to get over this, for me, I feel like enough is enough. And once we've drawn that line, there's no going back. IVF is really hard, and I don't think people actually anticipate how hard it is. You know, when people first find out that they can't have children or that they're going to struggle to have children, people quite often say, oh, well, you know, you can just do IVF. I'm here to tell you that there is no just about IVF. There really, really isn't. It is so hard. It is hard mentally. It is hard physically. It is hard emotionally. It is hard on your relationship. It is hard on your friendships. Like, IVF has seriously changed me as a person. It has changed my relationship. It has changed some of my friendships. It has cost me a friendship. It really is a hard game to be playing. And the sad thing about it is that it's exactly that. It is a game. It is a game and it is a gamble. And I don't know how many more times we can do this. You are walking into a casino in Vegas. You are putting £10,000 down on a table and saying red or black, and that is what you were doing. And okay, the return is the best thing in the world. The return is everything that you've ever wanted, but that return potentially is never going to come. You know, you're potentially never going to win that bet. And the more times we go through this, the more times I think we are never going to win this bet. And I don't know how many times I can do this. So we've had to kind of say enough is enough. We might have this egg collection and everything go tits up and it not work again, and us not have any frozen embryos or not get to transfer, and we might say, okay, no, I'm not ready to stop, let's carry on. But I can't see that happening. By all means, like I say, if we get frozen embryos, then we will continue and we will transfer every single one of those frozen embryos until there are none left. I have no doubt about that, but I just can't keep doing it. That's all there is to it. But whenever I think about it, like, this is, in all honesty, one of the first times I've been able to talk about it and not cry. But there's still time. But for me, this being our last egg collection doesn't necessarily mean that we are never going to be parents. We have considered, if this doesn't work, potentially going down the adoption route. It's a conversation that we've had. So I'm not saying that by this being our last egg collection, it's our last chance at being parents. We might have those frozen embryos. We might be able to do that. But if not, we might look at adopting. But it's a big might, and that is something that is not in the near future. If our cycle fails in September with nothing in the freezer, we're not going to start looking at adopting in December. I need to grieve that. I need to grieve the idea of never carrying my own child. I need to grieve the idea of that child not being genetically mine. I need to grieve the fact that I am not able to physically carry a child and birth a child. That is something that I think there is a grieving process for, which is perhaps quite often overlooked. It isn't just the having the baby in the arms, it's the process leading up to that. We have already had the natural conception taken away from us. We've already had that. To then not be able to have a child through medical needs, to then know that we are never ever going to have our own biological child. That is something that I'm going to really need to process and really need to deal with in order to get on with my life. And I need to know that before we look at any alternative options, that I am in a good mental state to be able to do that and be fully accepting of the situation that we are in. And at the moment, I don't feel like that is anytime soon. Like at the moment, the idea of not being pregnant is a really hard thing to grasp. But obviously we are putting everything on, hopefully, having frozen embryos. That's, I think people, especially people that are new to following me on Instagram or are new to my YouTube channel, hear me talking about the fact that all we want is frozen embryos and think that like we're almost doing embryo banking, or don't quite understand why I would only want frozen embryos. And in all honesty, I think as much as I obviously want the transfer, like if it doesn't work, as much as I'll be utterly heartbroken like I have been the first 2 times, I feel like I would have an awful lot of comfort in knowing that they were in the freezer. Like I feel so scared to go into this cycle knowing that it is potentially our last. Like that absolutely terrifies me. And I feel like it's going to take a lot of work to kind of deal with that, and I'm really trying to focus on my mindset and my outlook and my well-being. And so this cycle I am trying to look at things a lot more holistically. So obviously I'm still losing my weight, I'm still going to be doing the exercise and eating fertility friendly food and taking my supplements, but on top of that I am going to be looking at acupuncture. I'm considering hypnotherapy just to kind of help me calm myself down and help me kind of look forward positively and have that more positive mindset. I have also been doing fertility yoga, and I was saying on there about how I'm launching memberships in the coming months, and as part of that membership there is going to be a fertility yoga instructor. The instructor who I am getting on board, I have been doing the fertility yoga that she does, so I'm going to be continuing to do that. I'm trying to make that a daily thing that I do. I have put in my planner every day this week a habit that I want to get into is doing my fertility yoga, and I want to be doing that every morning when I wake up before work. I want to really get into that and help prepare my body for pregnancy and help prepare my body for that conception. And I think things like that, the guided meditations, doing wellness courses, things like that, to a lot of people will think she's going a bit crazy, but I feel like I need to do all of this stuff. Like I need to know that I am doing the very best with the tools that I have, and that tool that I have is my body. So I need to know now going forward that I am doing absolutely everything that I can. So if it fails, and if we don't have anything in the freezer, and if this therefore is our last shot and by Christmas we are done with IVF, that's scary. I need to know that I've done everything I possibly could have done. I really, really need to know that. So I feel like I need to invest all of this time and all of this energy into making sure that I'm doing my best, because otherwise I will only look back and blame myself in one way or another. So I will do videos on how I'm preparing my body. I'll do videos on the fertility yoga. I will do videos on the holistic treatments that I'm doing. I'll do videos on the supplements. I'll do videos on what I'm eating. Like I have every intention of vlogging the entire thing from here right to the end of it, right to that day that I bring a child home. I have every intention of doing this as well as I can, and I'm trying my very best to believe that we are going to bring a baby home, and that this will not be our last cycle of IVF, but it will be our last fresh cycle. And that's that. Like that's where I'm at with it. So I just thought I'd kind of sit and update you all, as I did have some questions when I said about this, and I know that I spoke about it on Instagram, and I just thought it was worth me sitting here and kind of talking to you in a bit more detail. So there are going to be lots of videos coming your way. Obviously, if there is anything specifically IVF related that you would like to see, do let me know in the comments below. If there's anything non-IVF related that you'd like me to film, then do let me know that as well. Like, as much as a lot of my content going forward is going to be infertility related, there's also going to be the renovation vlogs, etc, etc. But anything you want to see, do let me know. But I'm going to spend the rest of the evening in my comfies, watching crap TV, eating Chinese food. I've just ordered some prawn balls with sweet and sour sauce and I am so excited. What's your Chinese order? Mine's usually either, so we get chips, we get chow mein, we get egg fried rice, and then we get our own main. So sometimes I'll get duck and plum sauce, other times I'll get crispy chili beef, but at the moment I'm really feeling the prawn balls with sweet and sour sauce. Like, they are seriously my vibe at the moment. I am loving them. Have a really good week. I will see you next Sunday for another video. Don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to follow me on Instagram, and I will see you on Sunday. Have a wonderful week. Bye.